Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But we in the Situation Room on PTV World are discussing, of course, the post-Pahalgam false flag operation and all that has ensued in the region, across the world, in Pakistan, in India, the false narrative that India has been perpetuating since the Pahalgam and also before the Pahalgam false flag operation. The way now it is more than apparent how India is being isolated diplomatically with all the different countries that are openly siding with Pakistan. The United Nations Security Council also met behind closed doors on the request of Pakistan on this very issue of the Pahalgam false flag operation and what has ensued after this operation. And the basic resolve is for both the countries to show restraint. This is also what the United Nations United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres also said. He also urged both countries to follow a policy of restraint. Whether that happens from India or not, that is another question altogether. But the fact is that Pakistan has always been following a policy of restraint, or else Pakistan would have reacted many days back as well. But the fact remains that India, through its jingoism or war hysteria that it is also pushing through its media, is following a path, a very dangerous path that could lead to a lot of disastrous results for the region if it is not stopped beforehand. We will discuss different aspects of this false flag operation and of course what has happened since in the course of these 2 hours. We will begin in this hour with our two guests, one in the studios, one online. In the studios we've been joined by Ahsan Hamid Durrani Saab. He is a Director of Policy Research Center. Thank you very much, Ahsan, to have joined us. And online we've been joined by Brigadier Nadir Saab. He's a defense analyst. Thank you very much, Brigadier Saab, to have joined us as well. We will begin with you, Ahsan. Ahsan, let's talk about the United Nations Security Council meeting. This meeting happens in closed doors, happens on the request of Pakistan, and happens very quickly because the world realizes the urgency of the situation, especially emanating from India. How should Pakistan, in your point, I'll first begin with how the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres talked in a statement on this very issue, and of course referring to Pakistan and India. How should Pakistan interpret Mr. Guterres' call for maximum restraint and avoidance of military confrontation, especially in the light of India's aggressive posturing post the Pahalgam false flag operation?
Yeah, I think this meeting has been called in a very important time, and Pakistan is fortunate that it's a non-permanent member of the Security Council in this very important juncture when India has unilaterally escalated the situation on the border and has unilaterally withdrawn from a treaty that has been there for more than 4 decades now, the Indus Water Treaty, brokered by the World Bank. India's aggression has been has not been well received in the world, and as the Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres has also called for restraint. That directly points, because India is the one that has been escalating, that has escalated the situation. Pakistan, on the other hand, has responded in a very befitting manner, but Pakistan has at the same time tried to keep the situation calm as well. But the National Security Committee's actions in that regard has been a reflection of the aspirations of people of Pakistan. And be mindful that Pakistan has never unilaterally wanted to escalate tensions with India. And what happened in Pahalgam is a huge security failure for a country such as India, which has stationed more than 700,000 troops in the region. I guess there are the per capita presence of
and that is what I fail to understand in a region where there are 700,000 plus or 800,000 plus troops. How can such an incident happen without the authorities or without the forces knowing this has happened, unless there is a complicity between the state or the intelligence agencies or the defense forces and these very terrorists?
Exactly, exactly. That, I mean, all the evidence points out towards that. All the facts points out to that. Pakistan has asked for an independent investigation of this incident, and so far we have not seen any gesture from India that points towards the fact that it will launch an independent investigation into this. We're also, Umar, it's also very important to note that India's economy has slowed down. The projection for this year was that it will hit almost 8% of GDP growth, but the growth has slowed down to 6%. Now, be mindful that for a country like India, which has a huge economy and a huge population of almost $1.5 billion, a 2-point drop in economic growth projection has impact on the lives of millions of people, and in a country which has millions of poor population like India. So that this incident, this false flag operation in Pahalgam, can also point to the fact that the Modi administration wants to deflect the attention from the poor economic performances that they are currently delivering
but at
in
what
India.
cost? You know, this is what I fail to understand. At what cost are you deflecting? At the cost of endangering the entire region and something that could lead to, you know, two nuclear capable countries to move towards a direction where from where there could be no backing off. That is an extremely dangerous situation we are in. Brigadier Nadir Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. What does Antonio Guterres mean when he talks about credible and lawful means to bring perpetrators to justice? And how does that imply about India's premature and baseless accusations that have been leveled on Pakistan?
India has always leveled accusations at Pakistan, but in the Jafar Express and other things in Balochistan and KPK, it has been totally involved in all forms of undeclared war. So the UN can do a good job at helping to de-escalate. Now the issue, I think, is not what we are talking. I mean, the issue is that right now we are on the brink of war. India is prepared for it, as you can see. I mean, it's not just the Indian media, but all other, the world powers, and the whole world is involved because they can see that two nuclear-armed nations may just go to war and which may escalate to an all-out war, which obviously doesn't suit anybody on the planet Earth. Having said that, basically this war is, if it takes place, if it starts, I mean the war, it can start from small strikes and then Pakistan responds and then it escalates. But if it comes to an all-out war or a war, even a short war, it is not because of what we keep talking of trying to deflect opinion or India's political, the Modi's political fortunes or whatever. It is because of India's geopolitical agenda. You have to see it in totality, the bigger picture. See, it is as a prelude to what happened in Kashmir has been what has been happening in Balochistan and KPK. That undeclared war has been going on for a long time. And Jafar Express was a high point in that because the Indian media was implicit in it in a very, very blatant manner. Everybody saw that. The whole world saw that, I mean. India's dream plan is to cripple Pakistan. This is what the war is about. Sever Balochistan. Occupy Azad Kashmir northern areas. And the scarlet thread is to defeat and humiliate Pakistan military. And because that is the way they think, I mean, that's the dream plan. I said the Indian dream, not that it can become a reality. It will become a nightmare for them if they implement it. But that is the way they are rising to what they think is a great power, India's great power. So other problems notwithstanding, there is this present political elite of India and its jingoistic media and its armchair strategists, you know, who are talking endlessly of war on the Indian TV as if it's a game, you know, it's like a video game, you know. They may, if they embrace this and implement it, they may launch a multi-pronged offensive wars against Pakistan, military war that is. And it would be in sync with what they're already doing, that is water terrorism, economics, which includes, you know, going to FATF and going to IMF and going to all the world bodies. I mean, the economic strangulation of Pakistan. Then again, it's the diplomatic offensive that they've launched. And obviously the propaganda war. With all aimed at so that what the Indian dream is can come about. Well, the actual fact is that the global environment doesn't suit the world. Not a single country in the whole world has supported India in its war against Pakistan. Of course, countries support against terrorism. Pakistan has got global support against terrorism and other countries also. Secondly, the Pakistan military is ready to respond to any Indian misadventure or war. And thirdly, Pakistan nation is united like ever before. The media is vigilant and national fervor to defend Pakistan all-time high. India's water terrorism have woken Pakistanis to the implacable nature of venomous Indian hostility. So this is what the actual situation is, the ground situation. So India's dream plan does not match its military capabilities. They don't rhyme. And as you can note, there is a lot of confusion in Indian politico-military aims of war. Every day you see, or soon repeatedly you see, Mr. Modi's prime minister, meeting his military chiefs and all that. And that core star doctrine of theirs, if you go into it, it was supposed to launch, this kind of punishment strikes, as the Indian call, against Pakistan in 24 to 48 to 72 hours. And now it's over 2 weeks. So if it happens, it's a war. I mean, it's not anything to do with cold start. It's not anything to do with what happened there in Kashmir. It's something to do with what India's overall aims are. But that aim will not come about because Pakistan is ready. And Pakistanis are ready to defend. And the biggest strength of Pakistan are the 250 million Pakistanis who are united to defend Pakistan, come what may.
All right. Ahsan, coming to you, I'd also like to refer to the United Nations Security Council meeting that Pakistan had requested for, and of course it was convened. How does the Council's emphasis on restraint, on de-escalation and dialogue reveal the global concerns that all the important countries have regarding a potentially military confrontation between two nuclear capable powers?
Yeah, I think the UN Security Council's concerns are very genuine. Both countries are nuclear powers, and if India, led by Modi, escalates this situation, and it unfortunately led to this situation, that war has then no limits, and a nuclear war is dangerous for the whole world, and their concerns are really genuine. And I think what the UN Security Council should do is to pressure India more into restraint, because India is the one that has been escalating the situation. Pakistan has only responded with a befitting response, and even then I think our policymakers and our decision makers have cooler heads, because we understand the importance and the Indian jingoism by Modi. Of course, Modi administration has been is becoming really dangerous for this situation, not just for this region but for the whole world. And I think what Pakistan has also revoked the Simla agreement, yes, which also put an abeyance to it. So I mean, that means that we are what we agreed in the agreement back then in 1972 was that we'll deal with the situation between two countries on a bilateral basis. But the abeyance of that means that now we have to internationalize those disputes, including the Kashmir dispute. So that is also, I mean, a very not a very good situation for India. The world needs to realize that Pakistan is not Nepal, Pakistan is not Bhutan, that India can just subdue or India can just look down upon like it has been doing with its neighbors. Pakistan is a nuclear power. Pakistan has a very strong army, very strong population. It's the 5th largest population in the world. And if India tries to do a misadventure, it will get a befitting response. It has seen that in the past, that it's not, Pakistan is a force to be reckoned with, and it's not possible that you can just unilaterally stop the water. If it does, which of course it does not have the capability to do, it's a high flood season. If India tries to do that, it will flood its own people. But even if they do it at the cost of that, and there is a shortage of water in Pakistan, the Pakistani people will rise up, and they'll have to then take up arms and go against Indian forces on the border.
I hope it doesn't come to that. Brigadier Saab, how, in your point of view, do you see the United Nations Security Council's recognition of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute as the root cause of regional instability? Do you feel this recognition is not only a diplomatic win for Pakistan, but also a resurgence of an issue that has been on the back burner for decades?
Absolutely, it's a good omen, because the root cause of what we are talking is Jammu and Kashmir. And the incident has also taken place in Jammu and Kashmir, from where all this talk has started of war and war escalating to that level. So it is actually, and the Indians, there have been Indian critics within India who said that it is India who has again globalized Kashmir issue, whereas it wanted it to go dormant, it wanted it to fade from people's memories. So it's a very good opportunity, and Pakistan must avail it, the government and state of Pakistan, that number one, this, whatever resolution that comes about ahead, it must involve the resolution of the basic problem, the core issue, as you say, that is Jammu and Kashmir, because that is what it is. And now to that, the Indians have again added another problem to another issue to it, which is a existential threat to Pakistan. That is the water issue. How will Pakistan or any other country for that matter in the world live without water or even decrease in water of its share of its rights? So I've been saying it earlier that Pakistan needs a new Kashmir policy. I've been saying it. I've said it on your channel also. I've said it on so many other places. I've written about it. And it must involve the people of Kashmir, the land of Kashmir, and the water of Kashmir. Because as you've seen, this water is coming through Kashmir. So this has to be worked out as a whole package, of course, with United Nations, and not only the United Nations, I would say bigger powers, the great powers involvement. China is already siding with you. The Turkey has supported you, and even United States and other countries have. None of them have supported India in its war against Pakistan. So whatever resolution in future, whenever eventually peace talks take place, even after a war they take place, it must involve the resolution of the Kashmir issue. And I would dare say that not only that, now there is a lot of talk of escalation in case of war. Well, I want to explain this as a geopolitician, as a soldier, scholar, defense analyst, and all that. Pakistan's conventional capability is quite adequate to defend Pakistan. Of course, we say that, and the world fears that it can escalate, and it can because of miscalculation or because of so many things in the fog of war, as they say, things go wrong in war. So it can quickly escalate to the nuclear level. That is true, which is called vertical escalation. But even without that, Pakistan has the capability to defend itself quite well conventionally and launch its counteroffensives or riposte also. But in addition to that, what I'm saying is Pakistan has another card to play, which we have not till today. It is called the horizontal escalation. Vertical is, let's say vertical means having bigger and bigger and weapons being used, ultimately nuclear weapons and all that kind of stuff. But horizontal escalation is Khalistan, which is, it's not just Kashmir, it's Khalistan, which is just next door, East Punjab and all that. Then there is the Bangladesh Siliguri corridor, what people have said in Bangladesh also. There is that, and there are other things, other places also that the war can be expanded if it comes to war. Even though I have stressed, and I'm saying it right now, that Pakistan, even at this belated stage and even tomorrow, should continue its talk of peace, and not just talk, its efforts for peace. Because peace suits Pakistan, and what the Indians need to realize, it suits them also. Because if there is war, whatever...
That is why we asked it to be convened. Brigadier, I was saying that is why Pakistan wanted the UNSC to be convened, so that they could be parallel measures apart, that could not result in escalation of the current situation between India and Pakistan. Pakistan has always wanted peace, but Pakistan is ready to respond befittingly to any aggressive action by India. But the fact is that Pakistan has always promoted peace, and that is why the UNSC meeting was also convened, and that is the main message that Pakistan also wants to convey, that India needs to revert from its jingoistic actions and its war mongering that it has been perpetrating since the 22nd of April. Ahsan, I'd like to understand how, in your point of view, can Pakistan ensure that the baseless accusations that India has been pushing as far as Pakistan is concerned after the 22nd of last month are thoroughly debunked and not used to justify aggression. There are already many conspiracy theories regarding that, and we've discussed a little bit earlier in the show as well. But what measures do you feel Pakistan should take to ensure that India does not use these very accusations that it has been pushing towards Pakistan to justify any action?
Yeah, I think let's debunk one fact over here as well. So the population of the valley, the Indian occupied Kashmir, is almost 8 million people, and India has deployed 700,000 forces, 7 lakh forces in the valley. So the per capita presence of a military personnel against the population is, for every 11 people, there is 1 security forces personnel deployed. And that includes the CRPF, that includes the special forces, the border security forces, the Indian intelligence services, all of them included. So just imagine how heavily securitized that region is. And even then, if they claim that there is an attack on its forces, and that they claim that, falsely claim that it has been, Pakistan has backed that. So it all calls to one one fact that it is a false flag operation. It's not possible to carry out, and Pakistan has no intention to do that in that region. It's a security lapse, it's a false flag operation, whatever you call it. It is on the Indians' conscience. It is on the conscience of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What Pakistan should do is that Pakistan should galvanize international diplomacy, like the meeting in the United Nations Security Council. It has been very timely meeting. Pakistan should also reach out to all the important capitals in the world: Paris, London, Washington, Brussels, including the NATO and the European Union headquarters, because Indian propaganda, Indian news propaganda, Modi's regime propaganda has been very effective, but it has not made a dent on these powers. Just look at how Turkey has supported, how Malaysia has supported, how all these Committee of Nations have come forward to support Pakistan. And we've also seen that there has been, except for just a condemnation of the attack, there has been no support to Indian stance by India's so-called allies, such as the US.
That's a very important point, and that is something also goes against all the Indian warmongering and jingoism.
Exactly. So Pakistan should internationalize, and Modi has given this opportunity to Pakistan. The Kashmir issue was through Indian propaganda. It was sidelined in the international discourse. Now this issue has again come up through their own false flag operations. It has been internationalized. So I think this is a great opportunity for Pakistan to take up this issue on international forums.
All right. We will continue our discussion, but we have to go to a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and of course you joined Situation Room on PTB World, in which we are discussing the post-Pahalgam false flag operation and all that have been happening in the region. Brigadier Nadir, I'd like to just now, in fact a few minutes back, our Prime Minister, along with the services chiefs, along with the Defence Minister, along with the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, visited the headquarters of the ISI. From a national, regional and global perspective, how important was this visit? Because of course there's a detailed security briefing that is given during this whole visit as well. And what message does such a meeting also convey to our not so friendly neighbor?
To our absolutely hostile neighbor, let's be clear about the wording. It gives a clear message that Pakistan is totally aware, ready to deal with the ill intent of what Indians are up to. Well, this meeting and this visit was most essential, without no needless to say that, and it was very well timed, because you see, the latest is that the Indians have even made plans of exodus of the civilians from the border states of India. I mean, they have gone to that extent, which means war. What else does it mean? It has never happened before. It didn't even happen in 65 and 71, by the way, to the extent to which the Indians have prevailed. So it means they are preparing for war. And what kind of war? Well, it can be any kind, short or protracted or whatever. So this visit was required, and obviously the ISI is the national security premier, not only spy agency, it is an equalizer. I've been saying this, writing on it. It is Pakistan's equalizer. It is an instrument of the state of Pakistan, not just for the military, but for the whole nation, which doesn't only give information or intelligence, it gives analysis and the picture. And we are very fortunate to have this organization which keeps the nation protected in all its forms. So I'm sure I'm not privy to the meeting because I was not there, neither were you. But we are very clear what the agenda would have been. The agenda would have been regarding what India's hostile and preparations are, and where we are yet at this stage, and we are very close to it. Although obviously Pakistan must try to avoid this war, abort through all means possible, especially through diplomatic efforts at all levels. But in the end, it has to be the military instrument, that is the armed forces of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan and the state and the government and the media and all Pakistanis, 250 million, which is the actual defense of Pakistan. Because as you've seen, the Ukraine war has gone on for 3.5 years. As you've seen, the Gaza war has gone on for quite some time. So the United Nations good offices must be used, but you can't bank on them that they will prevent an Indian attack. Of course, the entire diplomatic world capitals and the UN and all global organizations and the global audience, where all the people of the world must know that India is the aggressor and India is the reason for a war if it takes place. So much for this visit to the ISI headquarters, and it's required. Now, one thing I would avail this opportunity to say, the next step which we should take from the Pakistani side is that even while trying to deter this war or avoid this war and all that, these efforts that I've been talking about and you have been talking about, the preparation of the nation, by nation I mean the civil side. The military is obviously ready, it's in the field to defend Pakistan, but the civil side, and there's a whole gamut, there are numerous things to be done on that side. So if the conclusion is that the war is what India wants, then the population of Pakistan has also to be, while supporting the armed forces, it has also to be readied in multiple ways for war. Because if war comes, then Pakistan is going to win this war, even though the victory may be small or big, but Pakistan must end the war on a favorable note.
All right, that's an important message, and I hope that all our not so non-hostile neighbors are also listening to what you are saying. Ahsan, I'd like to understand, how could Pakistan sustain sufficient pressure on India diplomatically? I'm talking diplomatically, particularly by highlighting India's record of state-sponsored terrorism in Pakistan, in other countries, in the US, in Canada, in the UK, and of course the extrajudicial assassinations that have been happening in Pakistan and other countries as well.
Yeah, I think, and I'm sure our relevant departments are working on that, but I mean, what should we do is to prepare a dossier of all these different human rights violation, cross-border terror sponsoring and target killings that Indian state-sponsored agents have been doing in Canada. They planned it in US as well. The attacks that they've carried out, their state-sponsored terrorism in Balochistan, in the tribal areas of Pakistan as well through TTP. We should prepare a dossier of this with all the evidence that we could get our hands on and send that dossier to all the important capitals in the world, to all the multilateral institutions, including the EU, including the FATF, including the NATO, to Indian allies as well.
Because speaking of the FATF, I think India should be on the blacklist of the FATF.
What it has done, its record should be blacklisted. So I think we should we should galvanize all the diplomatic strength that we have in ourselves. We should send parliamentarian delegations to all these important capitals to brief them on this situation, because what Indian media is currently doing, and be mindful that India has a huge media because of the virtue of its population, and it has a huge diaspora as well. So I think we need to correct the narrative over there, and we need to send delegations of media, of parliamentarians, of defense analysts to brief those important capitals and important institutions on what Indians' record has been, in contrast to what India is trying to tell the world. And Pakistan has been, the primary victim of Indian state-sponsored terrorism. For decades we have fought this war with all our resources. It has cost us a huge economic and human losses, but I think it's time that the world is seeing through India. Just look at what Canada did with expelled their diplomats, downgraded its relation with India. What happened when what happened with the Sikh activist in US? They were trying to assassinate it, and at the time, this happened last year as well, when Biden was in power. Modi was visiting on a state visit, and Indian intelligence agencies were planning to assassinate that Sikh activist. So now it's time that the world is seeing through them as well, and Pakistan is in a very unique position to give that lens to the world to see India's real picture, especially the Modi's regime policies for its neighbors.
I'm sure, Ahsan, that the important countries know India's real face, but are trying to kind of mute all of that because of their economic or strategic relations with India, and that is why India is getting a little bit of a leeway because of this very strategic relation that a lot of countries in the West want to continue to maintain with India. So at the cost of that, India's real face is not being highlighted as it should. This is what I feel personally. Coming to you, Nadir Sahab, what how do you see Pakistan's demand for an independent UN investigation into the 22nd of last month's false flag operation, and how does this indicate the confidence that Pakistan has in international mechanisms versus India's internal narratives that have only been perpetrating negativities and falsehoods?
Pakistan has asked for a UN investigation. It has also asked for other countries also, even Switzerland and Malaysia, and so many countries that Pakistan has dialogued with on the subject of this Pahalgam incident. Pakistan has offered neutral and impartial inquiry in that, and and not only that, Pakistan has offered to cooperate in any sense. The answer to this is that the Indians have said, and it's been on the Indian media, they said we don't have, I mean, I'm quoting the Indians now, they said they don't want to or they don't need to provide any evidence because the subject, as I've been saying all along in your programs and in my writings, the issue is not militancy in Kashmir. The issue is geopolitics. What does India want? It wants Pakistan truncated, or it thinks it should go to war, or it thinks it should beat Pakistan over. That is the issue, the real issue. I mean, the bigger picture. These are, like I said, this is the excuse. This is this is an excuse. The target is Pakistan. That's the thing. Pakistanis, of course, we understand it, but that's what we have to explain to the world. I mean, and in that, I think we've done well this time compared to previously, but more is needed. I mean, our diplomatic corps and our state organizations and our government have done a good job compared to what we have been doing previously. But the fact is that India has been using this propaganda and all the other instruments of asymmetrical assets against Pakistan globally. We have never thought globally. This is the first time, and now we need to do it more, in which more Pakistanis can be involved to do this. I am always available at my personal level, and so are you and everybody. I mean, there's a lot of talent in Pakistan. So it's not just the government officials who have to, that Pakistan belongs to all, and Pakistan has to be defended by all Pakistanis. So we are all part of defense of Pakistan. So what I'm saying, there are lots of Pakistanis who can contribute. The Pakistanis abroad in USA and all over the world, who have been galvanized for other ends, who should now be mobilized for this purpose and other issues. So Pakistan needs a global lobby. It does not have a global lobby in the United States. It does not have a global lobby elsewhere. I mean, it has patriotic Pakistanis, but it has to be orchestrated. The reason you talk of the Indian media diaspora is not only that they're in high places, they are following a script which is sent by Delhi, by the way. And this has been going on for a long time. So it's high time that Pakistanis need to think geopolitically. That's what I've been saying. Indians think politically and geopolitically. Pakistanis have been thinking only politically. That is why we found ourselves, at the lower end compared to the Indians. Now the time has come and an opportunity has been given. Pakistan is united. It has been mobilized. And there's a time that the government and the state should employ all assets of Pakistan, including you and myself.
All right. Ahsan, coming to you, what kind of message do you feel Pakistan is sending by invoking Article 51 of the UN Charter sent to India? I mean, what kind of message is being sent to India and the international community regarding Pakistan's right to self-defense under Article 51?
Yeah, I think as a member of the United Nations countries, Pakistan has the right to defend itself, and the Article 51 gives Pakistan that right. And the recommendations and the instructions of the National Security Council's committee's meeting were in line with Article 51. Pakistan has reinforced its borders, and Pakistan has every right to defend itself. Pakistan, with every resource available to us, and that includes our naval power, that includes our air power, that includes our troops, that includes the stick available to a farmer working somewhere in a field to defend Pakistan. So every resource that we have available to us, Pakistan will put that to use, because our sovereignty is very dear to us, and Pakistan cannot accept the fact that India will harm an inch of Pakistan. So Pakistan exists because of its sovereignty. Pakistanis exist to defend Pakistan and its sovereignty. So I think there's this is a very clear message by invoking Article 51 that Pakistan is ever ready. Pakistan has all the resources. It has a very strong army. It has a very strong naval power. It has a very strong air power, and we've shown our air power back in 2021 when India tried to do a misadventure. So we captured their pilot, gave him in 2019 and captured their pilot and offered him a cup of tea and then sent him back. So I think that should have been
still
enough.
had the tea stalls when the Indians were also in front of the Pakistani High Commission. The Pakistanis also had their tea stalls so that they could come and have their tea, which is of course an indication of the tea was fantastic.
But I mean, yeah, they're welcome to have that again, but at what cost? By downing their fighter jets?
That is what Indians don't realize, at least the Indian administration or the powers in India, they don't realize the implication of a war for the region and even beyond. They need to understand that A, they are falsely accusing Pakistan and they are using it as a pretext for their political gains. And secondly, they also need to understand that any war that they start will be ended by Pakistan, as Pakistan has said time and again. And the fact is, what is going to happen at the end of it? Both India is also going to suffer economically, and all the international organizations that are present there will back off, or at least will suspend their operations. It has many different applications for the entire region, for all the countries of the region. Nadir Mir Sahab, I'd like to understand, you've talked about the Indus Water Treaty, it's putting in abeyance this unilateral suspension of the treaty, the water terrorism that India has been using. Do you feel the UNSC is a good enough platform to highlight that as well, or do you feel Pakistan needs to knock on other doors as well?
Previously, some decades back, strategists used to say that the next wars will be water wars for water. Well, this one is right and staring us in the face. Pakistan needs to be in the UNSC, in the General Assembly, in every, Pakistan should knock every door in every corner of the world and use all powers of the state of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan. Pakistanis in Pakistan and Pakistanis abroad. This is a time of social media. You have to tell the world that the Indians are trying to stop Pakistan's water. They're trying to make Pakistan thirsty, its lands, its people, its everything. They want Pakistan to be without a drop of water. This is what the Indians are saying. I am quoting them. So you have to tell this to the whole world. How do you think the world will react to it? If you've done it if you do this in a sustained, in a, soft manner, reaching every corner, in every language of the world, say it in German, say it in French, say it in Arabic, say it, I'm not going to repeat all the languages of the world, say it in Chinese. And so what I'm trying to explain, as I said earlier, there is the need in Pakistan, and this should be a time of awakening for Pakistan. This is a God-given opportunity which Allah has given us, that India is threatening you, the nation is united in Pakistan. So we need to rise to the occasion, and that, first of all, we need to tell the world that we are united, which is quite evident, and speak in the language that those people speak. There's so many languages spoken around the world and so many cultures. So globally, India should be exposed for what it is doing. And for that, I repeat, I said earlier, it is not only the government of Pakistan telling its foreign missions and telling some delegations, sending some delegations. No, that is obviously the first part. It is so many other sectors, and not only Pakistanis. You have friendly nations, you have Turks, you see the sentiments about Pakistan, you have the Chinese, and you have other nations also in the Arab Gulf world, where the Indians are entrenching themselves, and in many other places. So you take out, you have to make it into an entire campaign as such. So to defame India, to expose India, so that global pressure is built on India.
To be very frank, India stands exposed post this false flag operation, and even before that. But this false flag operation has somehow reinforced the Indian image that Pakistan has been talking about since the last few years. What happened in Jafar Express, what happened before that, what continues to happen in Pakistan, the revelations by the DGISPR, and so on and so forth. But the fact is, you are right, Pakistan needs to talk in a certain language to the other countries. But I see, or I feel, maybe I'm wrong, that India understands only one kind of language. And if it tries to do any such action, the language will be responded to in the manner that India understands better. I'd like to thank both of my guests who've joined us, Brigadier Nadir, defense analysts online, and of course here Ahsan Hamid Durrani, Director of Policy Research Center, to have stayed for the whole hour, and of course have given us your point of view as far as what is happening, how we need to tackle it or cater, and how exposed India has now become. We have to go to a short break. Stay tuned.